It is another rather strange model with a cursed visage and a cursed appearance coming from a rather cursed game as well. It is KWG0E Cervo, with a kit of radar sight, sword, hammer, biped legs, and the leg ability of rumbling, which grants the fight boost effect to self when charging metaphors. Now, much like his counterpart, Beat, who also came from the Medarot Shingata game, also with the rather, putting it nicely, unique art style that sported from that particular title. Despite, if you take the cursed visage and appearance aside, there really is no major difference across the board between Cervo and most other members of the KWG family. Radar Sight is a support-based skill which grants a 30% buff to success to himself and all allies across the board. And just as a reminder, success is your likelihood on landing your hit on the target, as well as your additional likelihood of landing critical hits. In addition to that, Radar Sight will also remove any stealth or conceal effects of the enemy's side, making it a very solid and very well-rounded support skill you generally won't ever go wrong with using if you are in need of one. Sword is a conventional melee skill that you also can never go wrong with using for its incredible balance with no major drawback or detriment, and one that can very easily fit into any team with great flexibility and versatility. Hammer is another conventional melee skill and is an AoE, meaning it will damage all parts equally across the target, across all parts that are currently active, and spread load the damage. This can mean, say, if all 4 parts are healthy on the target, it will spread your total damage across those 4. Whereas if they only have 3 or 2 parts, it will spread the damage evenly across those instead. The rumbling ability also is an activation requirement ability, which kind of ties him in with his counterpart Beat with Assail, but simply put, it does require Cervo to actually activate this ability in order for it to be active. But aside from that, there really is no major detriment or difference between Cervo or most other standard KBTs, such as, say, Head Scissors or Rokusho. And it ultimately boils down to style and aesthetics, whether you choose to use his parts for that, or if you choose to use them, say, for the mind games and just make the opponent very nervous and unnerve them with very strangely colored and very strangely detailed parts that don't really stand or mesh very well with the other standard style of most others. That being said, however, if you as a pure set score, I do honestly have to rate Cervo a very solid 7 out of 10 for his very good coverage across the board. So even if you do decide to put the very cursed visage aside, he does honestly serve his role as a conventional melee fighter very dutifully and very faithfully. As mixed parts, I have to give him the same grade at a 7 out of 10. Some might even argue a 7.5 or an 8, given that, again, his stat differences are very negligible at best between him and most other KWGs, so there really is no major drawback or disadvantage to using him, and again, it's more of a case of personal aesthetic or personal preference if you do choose to. Now, it is also worth noting that, much like his counterpart Beat, Cervo is only available in the PvP banner each week, which means if you want to collect his parts, you must participate at least with the minimum requirement of 5 active Robattles in PvP and collect tickets to use in there, where you can only collect his parts from.